Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode on my channel. Today we're diving into something that I think a lot of us can relate to. You know those little nuggets of information you pick up in school that just sort of stick with you? Facts you learned in textbooks, heard from teachers, maybe even repeated on a test or two? Well, sometimes those facts aren't actually, That's right, folks. Today we're talking about the top 10 lies you probably learned in school. Buckle up, because some of these might just surprise you. Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the top 10 lies you learn at school. Get ready to have your mind blown. Okay, let's start with the big one. I mean, it was big enough that they gave the guy a holiday, right? For centuries we've been taught that Christopher Columbus discovered America. But here's the thing, there were already people living here, like millions of them. Indigenous people had rich, complex civilizations thriving in North and South America for thousands of years before Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So why the misconception? Well, it all comes down to perspective. The European powers who were busy colonizing the world at the time, they wanted to emphasize their own role in, finding these new lands. Never mind the fact that people were already living there, farming, building cities, creating art. Nope, in their eyes, it was all up for grabs. And that, my friends, is how a narrative gets twisted, how a story gets told from one point of view, often the one with the most power. And suddenly, millions of people are written out of history. But we're here to set the record straight, right? Columbus didn't discover America. He stumbled upon it. And the consequences of that encounter were, well, let's just say they were complicated, to put it mildly. All right, on to lie number 2, and this one might just sting a little for those of us who struggled with algebra. You know the story. Einstein, the genius who gave us the theory of relativity, he failed math as a kid, right? Wrong. Turns out Einstein was actually a whiz kid when it came to math. He excelled at it from a young age and even considered becoming a mathematician before turning his attention to physics. So where did this whole Einstein failed math thing come from? It's a bit of a historical game of telephone. There are a couple of different theories, but one of the most popular is that he struggled with a specific entrance exam for a prestigious school. But even then, he only did poorly on the non-math portions of the test. The truth is, Einstein's story is actually more inspiring without the whole failed math myth. He shows us that you don't have to be bad at something to eventually become brilliant at it. It's about passion, curiosity, and a willingness to keep learning, no matter how many equations it takes. This next one is a classic. It's the idea that we only use 10% of our brains. You've probably heard it before, maybe even used it as an excuse for forgetting something. But I hate to break it to you, folks. This one is total bunk. Think about it, our brains are incredibly complex organs. They're responsible for everything we do, from breathing to solving complex equations to remembering our best friend's birthday. Does it really make sense that we'd only be using a tiny fraction of this incredible organ's power? Scientists have actually proven that we use all parts of our brains, even if not all at the same time. Brain imaging studies show that different areas of the brain light up depending on the task at hand. So, whether you're composing a symphony or just trying to remember where you put your keys, you can rest assured that your brain is firing on all cylinders. Or, well, all 100% of them anyway. Time for another space myth. This one's about the Great Wall of China, a truly impressive feat of engineering, no doubt. But is it visible from space? Despite what you might have heard, the answer is a resounding no. Astronauts have confirmed that while you can see plenty of amazing things from orbit, the Great Wall isn't one of them. It's just too narrow and blends in too well with the surrounding landscape. This misconception likely stems from the fact that the wall is, well, really, really long, but length and visibility from space are two very different things. So next time someone tries to tell you they saw the Great Wall from space, you can hit them with some actual space facts. Like, did you know that astronauts on the International Space Station see 16 sunrises and sunsets every day? Now that's something worth writing home about. Let's talk about Isaac Newton, shall we? Brilliant physicist, lover of gravity, and the victim of a falling apple. Well, that last part might be a bit of an exaggeration. The story goes that Newton had his eureka moment about gravity when an apple bonked him on the head. While it's true that Newton was inspired by observing falling objects, there's no evidence to suggest he took a fruit to the face. It's more likely that he simply observed apples falling from a tree in his garden and began pondering why they always fell straight down. The apple story is a fun anecdote for sure, but it oversimplifies Newton's process of discovery. His work on gravity involved years of observation, experimentation, and mathematical calculations. He didn't just wake up one day with all the answers, even if a particularly persuasive apple might have helped. Okay, this next one is more of a pop culture myth than a schoolbook lie, but it's so pervasive that we need to address it. Vikings, those fierce Scandinavian warriors, they wore horned helmets, right? Wrong. There's actually no historical evidence to support this. Depictions of Vikings wearing horned helmets only started appearing in the 19th century, likely influenced by Romanticism and opera costumes. Real Viking helmets were probably made of leather or metal, and they were designed for practicality, not for looking intimidating. Or maybe they just thought horns were a bit too much. You know, fashion is a fickle thing. Ah, the chameleon, that master of disguise, blending seamlessly into its surroundings. Well, not quite. While chameleons are famous for their color-changing abilities, camouflage is only one reason for their kaleidoscopic displays. Chameleons also change color to regulate their body temperature, communicate with other chameleons, and express their mood. It's all about those pigment cells called chromatophores that lie beneath their skin. By expanding or contracting these cells, chameleons can create a whole range of colors and patterns. It's like their own personal light show. So the next time you see a chameleon changing color, don't just assume it's trying to hide. It might be trying to tell you to back off, or maybe it just wants to impress its chameleon crush. You never know. Blind as a bat. It's an expression we've all heard, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Bats aren't blind at all. In fact, some species have excellent eyesight, especially for nocturnal animals. The reason bats have a reputation for blindness is their use of echolocation. They navigate and hunt by emitting high-pitched sounds and then listening for the echoes that bounce back from objects in their environment. It's like having built-in sonar. So bats aren't blind, they just see the world in a different way than we do. Their echolocation abilities are so sophisticated that they can even differentiate between different types of insects and avoid obstacles in complete darkness. Now that's what I call impressive. Ready for a mind-blowing revelation? You have more than 5 senses. Yeah, you heard me right. We're all familiar with the classic 5 sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. But these are just the tip of the sensory iceberg. Humans also have a sense of balance, equilibrioception, a sense of body position, proprioception, a sense of pain, nociception, a sense of temperature, thermoception, and even a sense of time, chronoception. Pretty wild, right? So why do we only learn about 5 senses in school? It's likely because the other senses are less obvious and more difficult to explain. But that doesn't make them any less important. Our brains are constantly processing information from all of our senses to help us navigate the world around us. And finally, let's talk about goldfish and their notoriously bad memories. You know, the myth goldfish only have a 3-second memory span. Well, it turns out that goldfish are much smarter than we give them credit for. Studies have shown that goldfish can remember things for weeks, even months. They can be trained to recognize their owners, remember simple mazes, and even learn to avoid unpleasant stimuli. So that whole 3-second memory thing, yeah, it's a load of carp. The myth likely arose from people observing goldfish in bowls, which are terrible environments for them. In cramped, unstimulating surroundings, it's no wonder their cognitive abilities might suffer. But put a goldfish in a spacious tank with plenty of enrichment and you'll see just how smart these little guys can be. So, there you have it, folks. The top 10 lies you probably learned in school. It's amazing how some of these misconceptions persist, even in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary. But hey, that's what learning is all about, right? Questioning what we think we know, digging a little deeper, and always being open to new information. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to give the video a big thumbs up. And for more myth-busting, fact-checking and generally mind-expanding content, hit that subscribe button and join the community. Until next time, stay curious. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more eye-opening content. See you next time.